Welcome back to the Power Hour, ladies and gentlemen. That was Pink Floyd. Is that his real name? Oh.
That's the band's name.
Oh, that's the band's name. Okay, I knew that. Welcome back to the Power Hour. Thank you for joining us today. And we are joined by the editor of the financial newsletter called the internationalforecaster.com. Bob was telling me that 70% of the other Brandex newsletters, financial newsletters, have lost their subscribers. 70%. Why? Because they told them what they wanted them to believe, not what was the truth. And the International Forecaster is growing by leaps and bounds now because he tells us the truth. And if you have not gotten a complimentary copy of it, I'm going to tell you how to do it. You can call this number or go to the website. Call 877-479-8178. That's 877-479-8178. Or go to theinternationalforecaster.com. Theinternationalforecaster.com. Welcome back to the program. Thank each and every one of you for joining us today. We're talking with Bob Chapman, and at the bottom of the hour, he is going to tell you his 10 predictions he made on Coast to Coast. 10 predictions for this year. And, Bob, we were talking about where we stand right now in perhaps the first quarter of the year and the first and this next year. But we haven't dealt with the stock market yet, and I'd like for you to tell us kind of where you think we're going to go in the stock market because, boy, they are touting it on TV that, man, things are better than ever.
Well, we're looking for S&P earnings, that's the S&P 500, to be between $70 and $75 this year per share. And what that means is that based upon that, the Dow Jones Industrial Average would trade around 13,000. It's currently 10,500. And but what CNBC and others don't factor in is that there's a lot of nasty things going to happen this year. And one on the horizon, and we get a lot of information from subscribers all over the world, and for the most part, they're extremely intelligent people. And we've been getting information from people out of the Middle East who are successful and in some cases very wealthy, that they believe that there is going to be a war sometime during this coming year. In fact, they believe it's going to be fairly quickly, where Israel attacks Iran. And they believe that the fallout will be that any base that is U.S. or Israeli-oriented in the Middle East will be attacked by Iran in retaliation. And so if that happens, I don't think the stock market's going anywhere. And, Israel's been talking about this for the last several years, and they have every intention, if the United States will allow them to make such an attack, because they contend that Iran is on its way to getting nuclear weapons. And
well, let me just go back to the stock market for a second because, it is up. We do know that the stock market, what is it, up 19%? Let's take BP, for example, an energy stock. BP, British Petroleum, their low, I think, their 12-month low was $30 and their 12 or 18-month or whatever low was $30 and their high is now 60 and they're at 58. So, or the last time I looked. So, that's pretty significant. Stocks have gone up. So it is reassuring to a lot of people to go ahead and take your money and put it in stocks instead of that, 1.5% or 0.45% interest you can get on a CD at the bank.
That's a good point. But you got to remember, in March, the Dow was 6,600. Now it's 10,500. It went there on short covering as well as the use of TARP funds for gambling in the stock market. The TARP funds are now being withdrawn. So that's another negative factor for the market. They're not going to have as much money to leverage to manipulate the market with. And, of course, as I just talked about, a possible extension of warfare in the Middle East. And both of those would keep the market from going up, if not make it go down. We saw what happened after 9/11, which brings up another thing. With this latest stupid attempt at terrorism by whomever behind the government was doing it with this, what they call the crotch bomber or the underwear bomber or whatever it was supposed to be. So the guy is an agent for MI6. I mean, how stupid could they get? But anyway, you're going to see more of those, and that's not going to help the market either.
The father
and then
said,
we have all the financial things.
Yeah, the father said that could be my son. I'm not sure. Isn't that amazing? He can't recognize his own son. We'll be back. 3-minute break. Stay tuned.
So you feel all right.
Welcome back to the Power Hour.
I don't care.
Why do you always play the diamond ring story when you talk about Bob Chapman? I don't care about money. That's true. That's true. Bob Chapman does not care about money. Well, maybe we should let him speak for himself. You don't. Okay, welcome back to the Power Hour. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, and appreciate your support for the Power Hour. We've been closed over the past, about 10 days. So if you would like to order, we would love to take your order. Call 877-817-9829. To the gentleman from the UK who emailed me and said, Joyce, I know your number in my sleep. Well, I guess we accomplished our goal, didn't we? And I thank you for your email. But please do support the Power Hour. We're going to be giving you the specials. We're just kind of getting back in the swing of things here at the Power Hour, but thank you for your allowing us to take the time off. Joining us is Bob Chapman today, the editor of the International Forecaster newsletter, The International Forecaster. Remember, forecaster is FORECASTER.com. And he's here to help us understand what to expect and the 10 platforms, the 10 predictions that he made on the Coast to Coast show this past Sunday night with Ian Punnett. Bob, let's move into, as soon as you're ready, let's move into those predictions and find out. We can start writing them down so we can hold you to the hold your feet to the fire later on.
Well, I have an asbestos shoes on. Anyway, I'm going to do this rather quickly because we are limited for time. Official inflation is 2.4%. Actually, it's really 8.25%. I think it'll be over 14% by the end of the year, and that could be a very conservative estimate because this has been in the pipeline since last May. The dollar has just had a rally on the USDX, which is 6 currencies weighted versus the dollar, and it rallied from 74 to 78, which is a substantial rally over a 3-week period, and it could go to 80 here. But the point is, I think by the end of the year, it will have broken its long-term support level of 71.18 and probably will fall down to somewhere between 40 and 60. And let's be optimistic and say it's only 60. And that would bring about the possibility of official devaluation, which I spoke about earlier. And the next projection is that about the market, which we were just talking about. And I just think there's too many negative events for the market to make a lot of headway to the upside. And the TARP funds essentially are now gone, are in the process of going back to the Fed. And, of course, they're going to be buying treasuries with that money. And the president wants a stimulus package for $400 or $500 million. So he's going to be looking for the remainder of it. So that doesn't take any money out of the system, and that's what the Fed wanted to do. In fact, the Fed wanted to take out $1.5 trillion, and I don't see how they're going to do it. And so for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't think they can get it easily out of the system. And second of all, if they pull it out of the system, the whole thing will collapse. So I think it's a canard. I think it's leading us in the wrong direction. I think they're saying one thing and knowing they can only do another. The U.S. Treasury 10-year note is trading at around 383 this morning, up from 320 about 3 weeks ago when the dollar began its rally.
Interesting.
And that means that in all probability by the end of the year we'll see a 5% 10-year note. That means that the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, which is now 5.15%, and that comes from Freddie Mac, it will probably go to 6.25 to 0.5, which means that's going to be the end of the inventory cleanout that's overhanging the residential market and has been for a long time, plus all of the residential foreclosures that the banks have that they haven't even put up for sale. And they're hiding them off the books, if you may. And so that's not going to be good. I think the Fed will have to continue to monetize Treasury debt. They admit to $300 billion. The figure is probably closer to $1 trillion, and that's why they don't want the audit of the Fed by Congress, because people are going to see that they've been doing things that they haven't been telling anybody about. And so I see a continuation of that until the Fed is stopped from doing it or the Fed is done away with. And, you know, foreigners now don't have enough dollars to accommodate the Treasury issues. They get bigger and bigger every day. I mean, they have a schedule in front of me here of the Treasury auctions. They're unbelievable. It's like $100 billion a week.